Hello and welcome to my channel CBSE SST Guide, and I am your SST mentor. So today we are going to talk about the chapter political parties, and we are going to discuss about the board question and answers and where they are located. So let's take a look. So this is the sixth chapter, and one of course, the important questions that comes in this chapter is define political parties, right? So you come to the very first page and you get the definition. So it's a one marker question. A political party is a group of people who come together to contest elections and hold power in the government. They agree on some policies and programs for the society with a view to promote the collective good, right? So this more or less um, answer the question define political parties. However, you can see that I have given a sort of asterisk here, a marker, because why? Define political parties also comes with an additional question, which is what are the components of a political party? So you come to the very next page. So what happens is the question is clubbed together. So define political parties, or what is political party, and the second part of the question is what are the components of a political party. This comes as a 3 marks. So the answer of course would be a political party has 3 components: the leaders, the active members, and the followers. So in this case, you have to sort of elaborate upon each point, who the leaders are, right? So the political head of a party would be the leader. The active members are the workers of the party, and the several MLAs or MPs who happen to be, a part of the political party group, and of course the followers, which is the common people. So these things you need to elaborate upon if the question comes as a 3 marker. In order to get full 3 marks, you definitely have to explain each component, right? Coming to another 1 marker question, define partisanship. Now, what is partisanship? Basically, it is marked by the tendency to take a side, or what happens with political parties, especially when you support a political party, you inadvertently support the ideology that the political party holds, and that sort of becomes a group or a faction, and you cannot look at other political parties in the same line. There tends to be a bias. So this act of a person who's strongly committed to a party group or faction based on the ideology that the party and he himself believes in is called partisanship. So you can simply take this glossary definition, and that would be sufficient to answer the question define partisanship. Now, coming to the next question, illustrate the function of political parties. Now, this is given in a very nice manner in the book itself. So, parties contest elections, right? So, in this case, for each point which is elaborated, you have to take upon the major section. So, parties contest elections, and there are candidates who are put up by political parties, and they select their candidates in different ways. So you can thereon give examples like India, where top party leaders choose candidates from contesting elections. So that becomes your point number 1. What is the second point? Parties put forward different policies and programs. So that is the second function of political parties, and each may have different opinions and views on what policies are suitable. So that is why they are clubbed together. So it is not possible to satisfy each and every person of a country with such a huge population. So that is why policies and programs are based upon a collective consensus of ideas and opinions and views, and they are grouped together to make policies and programs. The third very important function is parties play a decisive role in making laws for a country. So whichever party wins, or a coalition government, if two or more parties form a coalition government and they form in the government in the parliament, then they are the ones who form the legislative assembly, either in the state or, of course, in the parliament, the Lok Sabha. So uh, they belong to a political party, or they go by the direction, therefore, as far as party leadership is concerned, and therefore they legislate laws. We all know that the Lok Sabha is it consists of the MPs who are part of the political party who becomes the ruling party, or ruling parties in case of coalition government. So they are the ones who help make laws. The fourth function is parties form and run governments. That is their very, very basic function, right? So big policy decisions are all taken by the political executives that come from the political parties. So the political executive does not make or implement laws on their own. They have to have the backing of the political parties who are members of the parliament. The fifth function being those parties. Now, those parties that lose elections, or what about them? We all know that they form the role of the opposition to the parties in the power, and by voicing different views and criticizing the government about its failure, or about its various policies that have not met the target, they sort of, the opposition keeps the ruling party in check. And you may also get a question in the form of, what is the role of the opposition in a democracy? So here you can take this part of the answer, right? So the opposition parties mobilize opposition to the government in order to make sure that the ruling party who forms the government is held accountable to the people. So this is how the opposition political parties play a role in maintaining democracy. So this is something that you need to highlight if a separate question comes on the role of opposition, right? Then the other functions are parties shaping political public opinion. So there are plenty of pressure groups, and they are extensions of political parties among different sections of the society, and the parties sometimes launch movements for the resolution of problems faced by the people. If you look at the news, you will see that there are so many mass movements and people's movements in general that are supported by a lot of political parties. So they sort of give a platform to share public opinion. The next function is people access government machinery and welfare schemes implemented by the government. So who is doing that? The parties provide this platform. So for an ordinary citizen, it's not easy to approach a local party leader and say, this is the problem that I have, right? So therefore parties provide that platform where people can reach, and that is why they need to feel close to the people. Otherwise, the support that is very much important for political parties to thrive will not come, right? So these are the seven functions of political parties which are mentioned in the chapter, and you can pick any three to illustrate the function of political parties. If it comes as a 3 marker, or if it's 5, then you can choose any 5 and more, right? Now coming down, there is a question that comes, and it is a statement that is picked up. The rise of political parties is directly linked to the emergence of representative democracies. Discuss. right? So you can see here that it comes as a three marker. So the rise of political parties, how it is linked to the the emergence of representative democracies. You see, if there is a democracy, then there will be a provision for people to share their opinions. And once that is guaranteed, freedom of speech and expression, then we will automatically see the rise of political parties, not only in the national level, especially in the regional level too. So we see large societies need lot of representation, especially a country with a billion strong population like India. It is not possible for one political party to cater to the needs. So that is why there are many regional parties that come up which cater to the various needs of the people, and collectively, therefore, a country becomes a democracy, right? So this part, political parties fulfilling these needs for representative government is fulfilled, and that is why we see that there is a direct link between political parties and the emergence of representative democracy. The answer would be in this page and continuing in the next paragraph till here, right? Now, another question that is there is, it comes as a very important 5 marker question. No party system is ideal for all countries in all situations. Justify the statement, right? So here, because the question is asked all countries, therefore you cannot just give India's example. Here we see that many countries examples are given. So for example, China, so China is an example of one party government. Why? Because it's a communist nation, right? So this being one example, so because they have a tradition of having a communist government, that is why they make do with one political party. However, many other countries may not agree with this kind of a system. So there are many democratic parties that have at least 2 parties to compete in elections and provide a fair chance for the competing parties to come to power. So what are the powers, or what are the countries that have 2 party system? That exists in the United States of America and the United Kingdom. So you may have heard that the United States have 2 parties, that is the Republicans and the Democrats, and they are the ones who contest elections, and any one of them becomes the majority and wins. So this is the 2 party system, right? Then we come to the multi-party system, and the example being India. So first you have to explain what a multi-party system is, and why India has a multi-party system. It's because there are various parties coming together, right? And this is best for a country which has such a huge population to cater to. So you can give example that India, there were 3 such major alliances in 2004, the NDA, UPA and the Left Front, right? So if you get a question, no party system is ideal for all countries and all situations, justify the statement. So here you have to collectively mention the situation in China, the 2 party system in United Kingdom and United States of America, and multi-party system in India. So there are 3 separate points that you will be mentioning here: 1-party system, 2-party system and multi-party system for the answer to this question, right? It can be a bit confusing when I correct answers for this particular question. Sometimes I see students have only written about India and they forget about UK or China, something like that. So there, in a 5-marker question, marks may get cut because this question is not asking for only India, it's asking for all countries. So whichever countries are mentioned here, they need to be, definitely written while you write this particular answer. right? Now, coming back to the, there's another question. Yes, by the way, let me just go back. What is a multi-party system? Why has India adopted a multi-party system? Explain. So it's a three-marker question. Or how has multi-party system strengthened the democracy in India? So in this case, you have to write only this part. So in this case, you just have to mention this part, right? Where, first you define the question, what is multi-party system? So more than two parties when they are competing and have a reasonable chance of coming to power in their own strength, or they may call alliances, that is a multi-party system. And in India, various parties come together because we have a unique regional diversity. So each country develops a party system that is conditioned by its special circumstances. For example, if India has evolved a multi-party system, it is because of the social and geographical diversity in such a large country, and it's not easily absorbed by two or even three political parties, right? So this justification you have to mention when you get a question: how has multi-party system strengthened democracy in India, and why has India adopted a multi-party system? So this is your answer for the second part of the question. Moving further on, you get a question: explain the criteria. It's a very important three-marker question. Explain the criteria required by a political party to become a national political party, right? So in this case, you have to mention that every country has to register with the election commission. No party can be called a political party if it does not register with the election commission, right? So commission treats all parties, equally, and of course it offers special facilities, right? So there are symbols that are given, right? So that would be like the party symbol. So this is like your introduction to the answer. And then what is the criteria? The election commission has laid down detailed criteria for the proportion of votes. So a party has to at least secure 6% of total votes in an election in the legislative assembly of a state, or win at least 2 seats recognized as a state party, right? Then a party that secures at least 6% of the total votes in Lok Sabha, or at least in 4 states, then it can be considered a national party, right? So this would be your answer to the question: what are the criteria required by a political party to become a national one? Now, a very, very, sort of direct question, you can call it easy also, because it's given in the book, in the sense that you can get questions on any one of the political parties. So how does the question come? Give a brief description of AITC, Trinamool Party, or Bahujan Samaj Party, or BJP, or Congress Party, and elaborate upon its ideology. So that is why I have given a dash here, because you can place any. So the question may come, board may ask any political party and ask this question. So you have to learn, the description of all parties, right? That is why I'm not just given one. Any political parties that are mentioned here can come, right? Or the other type is the other, or type of question, the other way it can twist the question is: mention the features of whichever party that the board chooses to question upon. Like it can be All India Trinamool Congress, it can be BJP, it can be just Indian National Congress, it can be Bahujan Samaj Party. So that is why I have kept a dash here, because any question, any political party can be picked up and this question can be asked, right? So the template of the question is the same, but you just have to, they can choose any, political party? So the answers, of course, are very much mentioned here. However, I have seen in the question paper, over the years, the board so tends to, so please make sure that particularly BJP, Communist Party, and Indian National Congress. So this you can mark. I have marked it with a dot. You can mark this as important. So you can look at these particular part of your chapter more seriously. You can take them as important among all of these political parties, right? Um, Now coming further down, there is a very important 5 marker question that is asked. What are the changes between challenges? Sorry, what are the challenges between political parties? What are the challenges that political parties face? Right. So the first challenge is lack of internal democracy, and here you have to mention that parties do not keep membership registered. There is concentration of power in only the top leaders, and they do not have any means or connection. So the ordinary members do not have any connection to influence decisions. This may also come as a separate 3 marker. So elaborate upon the lack of internal democracy amongst between political parties or in political parties. So here then you have to mention this part of the challenge, right? So this is the first challenge that is faced. The second challenge is, of course, the challenge of dynastic succession, which is of course related the first one. So most political parties do not actually practice open and transparent procedures for their functioning. So there are very few ways in which ordinary members can rise to the top, and those who happen to be leaders are in an unfair they get an unfair advantage, and they favor people who are close to them or in their family. And that is how one family or one group of influential people tend to influence the political party for many years to come. So this is one challenge, right? The third challenge is, of course, the corruption as far as money and muscle power is concerned. So especially during the elections, parties are focused only on winning the election, and they tend to do it using shortcuts to win them. So they tend to nominate those candidates they know who can raise a lot of money, right? So these are important points when you are including. So make sure, because each and every challenge is mentioned in such an elaborate manner, it's not possible to write these whole things, and there is word limit also for 5 marker questions. So make sure for each and every point you pick out the most important, and you points and elaborate upon it, right? Don't just mention the subheadings, but also explain them, right? And pick out the most important parts, right? Now the fourth challenge is often parties do not seem to offer meaningful choices to the voters. So in order to offer meaningful choices, parties must significantly be different. Now what happens is, there seems to be a decline in ideological differences amongst political parties, right? So a Labour Party or the Conservative Party in Britain have very much the same sort of ideologies, because their focus is more on winning elections rather than having any loyalty to their party ideology. So Labour Party is mostly very communist related, while conservative parties tend to be right. So both should be left and right respectively, but apparently in reality they seem to be in the same page. And because they agree on the fundamental aspects, what happens is there is not much difference at all, right? So this is also a challenge. So people don't get a choice as far as political parties when elections are concerned, right? Now these are the challenges faced by political parties. Now Here comes another 5-marker question. Describe the measures taken by the constitution to counter challenges faced by political parties. This can come as a 5-marker as well as a 3-marker question. So the answer would be here in page 85 of the 2021 edition of the NCERT book. You can have a look at the portion where how can parties be reformed. It's clearly mentioned what the constitution does in the bullet points. The constitution was amended to prevent defection. Now, what is defection? It is, again, you can get a 1-marker question. Define defection in relation to political parties. So basically it is changing party allegiance from one party to the other in order to get elected, right? Now this actually hampers democracy. It shows that political leaders may not have that kind of tenacity to hold on to a particularly their political party. They just want to win elections. So that affects democracy, and that is why the constitution has amended laws in order to make sure that MPs and MLAs can't change political parties so easily. Right now, MPs, the new law has helped bring defection down. At the same time, this has made any dissent even more difficult. So MPs and MLAs have to accept what the party leaders, sort of decide. So there's a pro and con here. Next, the Supreme Court passed an order to reduce the influence of money and criminals. Now it is mandatory for every candidate to contest elections to provide an affidavit. So they have to give their property and bank details, or if there are any criminal cases pending against him or her, then they have to give all those details, and these have to become publicly available because the public needs to know if the leader has embezzled a lot of money or whether he's criminal or not. So this is very important. It's important to know whether political leaders are clean or not. Another thing is the election passed an order making it necessary for political parties to hold their organization elections and file income tax returns. This is a very important point, right? So the party have started doing so, but sometimes it's a mere formality. So that is, all about honesty. But these are the constitutional measures taken by the constitution to counter challenges faced by political parties. You may also get a question: describe the measures taken to counter challenges faced by political parties. You may get a question where constitution is not mentioned. So in this case, it's a broader question. If constitutional measures, then you have to mention only till this part, right? But if it's a general question, describe the measures taken to counter challenges faced by political parties, constitutional measures are not mentioned exactly, then you can again elaborate, here besides many suggestions are often made to reform political parties. So here you can, in that case, you can give these points also, that a law should be made to regulate internal affairs of political parties. Then it should be mandatory for political parties to give a minimum number of tickets, about 1/3 to women and other depressed classes, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Then there should be state funding. So the government should give parties money to support the election expenses, and their support could be given in kind, right? Or it could be given in cash on the basis of the votes secured by the party, right? So these suggestions are the ways in which political parties, the challenges that they face, can be reformed, right? Now, another question that is asked is, how can the quality of democracy be improved in a country like India, or elaborate the role of the public in the reformation of political parties? Here, this is where you get the answer. One way people can, the public obviously can reform political parties is putting pressure on political parties. This can be done through petitions, publicity, and agitations. So once we see that the people are involved, then automatically the quality of democracy improves. So it answers both the questions here. We move on. So ordinary citizens, pressure groups, media can play an important role. If political parties feel that they would lose public support, then they will obviously want to carry out, serious, implementation as far as reforms are concerned. Another way is political parties can improve if the people themselves join the political parties that they want to. So the quality of democracy depends on the degree of political participation. It is difficult to reform politics if ordinary citizens do not take part. So here you can mention, end the answer with that it is very much needed. Public participation is very much needed in order to, improve the quality of democracy. So part this part and coming back to this answer, right, coming back to this page would answer the question to this, two types of questions. So this more or less covers the board questions that are important for this chapter, political parties. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any doubts, or if you want any suggestions or so, you can definitely leave comments, and subscribe to my channel, don't forget that. So thank you and have a good day.